So for the next presentation, it's now my pleasure to introduce Lenny Mendonca, Director of McKinsey & Company. Now, Lenny is a former head of McKinsey Global Institute. He's heavily engaged in CED's work, particularly in the issues of corporate governance and business statesman. McKinsey has partnered with CED around these and other issues, in particular post-secondary education reform. Lenny is a former trustee leadership honoree, and we're delighted that he's here to give a presentation tonight. Lenny?
Thank you, Mike, and I promise to make this brief so that you can get to our dinner this evening, but it's a great pleasure to be here, and in particular, it's a great pleasure to introduce our next awardee, my fellow trustee, Jeff Joerres, the chairman and CEO of Manpower. Jeff is an amazing individual who's been with Manpower for nearly 20 years. He's been their president and CEO since 1999 and their chairman since 2001. Jeff has led a transformation of ManpowerGroup during this time, adding new business lines and expanding the company to nearly 4,000 offices in 80 countries around the world. He's also helped the company climb the Fortune 500 quite rapidly over the last several years. And for the second consecutive year, ManpowerGroup was the only company in its industry to be named to the Ethisphere Institute's list of the world's most ethical companies. With Jeff at the helm, ManpowerGroup has grown tremendously and continues to cultivate an environment of learning, growth, and innovation. This is because Jeff is a true business leader with great acumen and business insight, but he's also a business champion, a champion for his communities, for his employees and potential employees, and for many great philanthropic and civic causes, including the Committee for Economic Development. And that's why we're here, to celebrate our friend for the wonderful work he's done as a long-standing CED trustee. In particular, let me highlight that Jeff serves as co-chair of CED's, sorry Jeff, I know you hate this, but I'm gonna continue, as CED's post-secondary education project, along with Bruce McClory, who is also being honored tonight. The project's a multi-year initiative called Business Champions for Post-Secondary Education Reform. Jeff helped launch this effort because he knows that reform of our post-secondary education sector is critical. It's critical to our nation's long-term economic well-being, and it's critical to the future of our workforce. He also understood that we needed to focus our work on areas that increased access to post-secondary education while increasing the quality of the education itself, and that could only happen with productivity and innovation in the sector that badly needs it. Jeff worked with our subcommittee to focus the project on broad access institutions, compromising non-traditional colleges as well as community colleges and technical and for-profit schools that provide the bulk of education for those in the post-secondary system. This group is critical to addressing one of the greatest challenges of our time, enlarging the pool of skilled Americans and preparing our workforce to compete more effectively in the global economy. And who better than Jeff to understand this challenge and guide us to develop the strong recommendations for reform, which he and CED did earlier this spring with their policy statement. Since that time, Jeff isn't just writing reports, he's a tireless advocate for the recommendation, calling on fellow business leaders to read them, understand them, work with us to get them implemented. He works constantly with CED on state-level efforts where a lot of the action is happening on education policies, and he's recruiting other business champions who can carry our message both at the state level and at the overall national level. Jeff is always looking to the future of business and what companies need to do to reach that next level of innovation, and brings this enthusiasm to the work he does at CED for our education program. I'm proud to count Jeff as a trustee, and we thank him for his stellar leadership on the board. And I know Jeff, in his Midwestern, quiet way, hates this kind of stuff. So please join me in giving a huge round of applause for our trustee, Jeff Joerres.
Thanks, Lenny. I had mentioned to Lenny that I hate introductions, so I stood up halfway through when he had that pause like he was almost done. So, and I am, Alan, actually the one standing between now and dinner, so I have prepared a 25-minute synopsis of our post-secondary education report that took us many, many months to put together. I like working with the CED. As many of us in this room, we have the opportunity to work with so many different organizations like this, but none is like the CED. I don't know about you, but I'm getting pretty tired of politics. When I can come into a meeting at the CED and know that what we're doing is putting data together, putting information together that is going to move it forward in a way that has some rationale behind it, not just emotion. That doesn't mean we weren't emotional on the post-secondary education project. We absolutely were. The one who really held that together for us was our co-chair, the brains behind the operation, Bruce. So Bruce, thank you very much. You'll be hearing from Bruce later. Bruce did a tremendous job on it. What frustrates me is that we absolutely know the importance of post-secondary education. It's obvious, but yet we don't seem to move the ball forward. We get stuck in the quagmire. We get stuck in some of the challenges that are occurred. We get stuck in how systems are done in California and my state, Wisconsin. And the fact is, it's chaos out there. What's happening in the business world today, it is moving so fast. It's so interconnected. There's so many challenges that no one can even get into your head how difficult it is. And what we must not forget is that we're leaving people behind. We're leaving those behind that aren't educated well enough. They're not really being ready for that business world that is moving faster than the educational world. And as it is outpacing it, what we are doing is we're leaving people behind. Right now, businesses are scaling, our own as well. 65% of our $23 billion is in Europe, 30% in France. Try that on for size. Congratulations, Carl. You have a little different mixture. We're scaling the economic wall hand over hand. No longer can we bound over chasms, creating wakes of employment, tens and tens of thousands of people of employment. What we need to do is to really educate these people. The medallion schools are not leaving us behind. The great ones in this city, others, the Stanfords of the world, they're not leaving us behind. They're great for this country. What we need is broad access institution. I am privileged to be the first one of the entire generation to ever go to a university. I take great pride in that. Not having an advisor, not having a counselor, but going to a broad access institution that gave me the ability to say, you can do whatever you want once you're educated. We need to give them a career ladder. We need them to move forward. In our home state of Wisconsin, we need to create 1 million jobs by 2018. Over half of those jobs will require more than a 2-year degree, and currently less than a third do that. We will not succeed in this little state of Wisconsin. This CED report that we put together is pushing that forward, and we are changing what's happening in Wisconsin. By all definitions, broad access institutions will save the United States competitiveness with things like Ford that's doing and bringing those forward. But the technical schools, the innovation, the online schools, we need to pull all of that together. Because at the end of the day, the competitiveness of the United States is based on post-secondary education. And the fact is that education brings honor. It brings honor and hope. And nothing more than honor and hope is needed in the United States right now. Thank you very much.